Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Kevin Woodley, standing by, sponsored by Basant Motors. Don't love your vehicle. Let Basant Motors help you get into one that you will love. Did you write this again? Learn more at Basant Motors, BASANT Motors.com. Have to ad-lib around it. I can't do that very well.
Yeah, people don't know. Ryan writes, we read.
No, it wasn't Ryan.
Who was it?
Somebody at Czech.
It was actually Jazz at Basant Motors. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Honestly, you should think about
great job.
And I thought it looked
great job of writing.
I thought it looked okay. Clearly, I got to take a second look.
No, I think I messed up, actually.
What a shock.
Believe it or not. Just before we get to Kevin Woodley, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. This is from Peter Puck. You don't remember Peter Puck, Ryan?
I do.
Us old-timers do. I don't know why everyone thinks revenues will go up. Have you not heard about the Sinclair Broadcast Group declaring bankruptcy? These are the Bally people, right? They are the largest regional rights holder in the U.S. More should be reported on this and how it affects NHL revenues going forward. I just talked about Lou Lamoriello and other NHL executive types expecting the salary cap to go up, but Peter Puck makes an excellent, as he always does, going back to the 70s, excellent point. In Goal Magazine, NHL.com. We're joined now by Kevin Woodley, who covers the Canucks like no one else. Kevin, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Covering the Canucks, there was not a gray hair in this beard when the season started. That's just the kind of year it's been.
Yeah. A shirt from the Dollywall collection, I see.
I like to, hey, listen, Ricky brings it on Fridays. Doesn't matter when I'm on. I have to honor his commitment to the bit. I've got a closet full of them myself, upgraded, sent him some pictures from some nice stores down in Maui over the holidays, and upgraded. Had to share that with the Dollywall fans.
Beautiful. Hopefully one day soon in Vancouver the weather matches the shirt, but that's a subject for another day. Okay, so your opinion, Bo Horvat, with the Islanders, 8 years, $8.5 million per, and how that relates to the Canucks' decision to let him go.
Well, I mean, I think at that number, there's just no way they did that. But I've seen a lot of sort of interesting sort of what's on Twitter and polls and questions. Would you rather, JT Miller at 7 years times 8 or Bo Horvat at 8 times 8.5? And I don't know that frames the decision fairly. I think that number for Bo Horvat back in the summer, and Rick, I mean, you've been all over reporting on this, would have been a lot lower. My understanding is closer to 7, maybe even a little under. So the decision to sort of, go where they went with JT Miller, I don't think you can directly compare that to what it cost to get Bo Horvat now well into a career season. I think the fair comparison would be more what we were looking at in the summer, and that number would have been a lot lower. Like I said, my understanding is down closer to 7. So the decision to part with him in a lot of eyes, and they might disagree with this because they tried to re-sign him even after signing JT Miller. But a lot of us viewed that decision as being made when JT Miller signed, and certainly it was made for them when Bo Horvat went out and had a career season, did the work he did. Fairness, this is a career season, but it's also based on a lot of work and spending a lot of his own time and his own money investing in his game, adding Adam Oates as a consultant, to his team. And the way that's paid off for him. So he deserves some credit in there. He bet on himself, and he's getting paid for it.
Kevin, you're the goalie expert in town. What do you make of all these?
Don't ask my beer league team that.
No, just listen to me. You are. What do you make of all these Thatcher Demko is not happy rumors?
I mean, if you're happy with the way things are going, then you're probably not competitive, right? We see it comes out in JT Miller's game on the ice. All I know is that I had a chance. I ran into him. Obviously, he's been around the rink, but not on the ice, although we're expecting that to change this week. He was on the ice, and we weren't around the rink last week. Just happened to run into him heading out the building and asked him about the rumblings that he wanted out. And all I can say is, that he refuted that. And so the idea that he wants to leave, that he wants out, I don't think that's the case. I don't think we've gotten to that point. I think the question is based on reporting, and I think it originated interestingly enough from national media as opposed to local, that it's something they were considering. And to me, that would be an interesting decision. I think it would say a lot about where this team really believes it's at in terms of its ability to compete in the short term, because I think Demko gives you your best chance to do that, versus, truly embracing whether they want to use the word or not, a rebuild over the next couple of years.
Kevin, his injury. So it was supposed to be 6 weeks. Now it looks like it might be 12 weeks. Help me out here. I'm hearing the groin's okay, but they want to make sure because he's had issues and help me out with his hip, his knee, and now the groin. I get the feeling they're not letting him back until everything's 100% correct. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, to the extent we know, Rick, like obviously we don't have regular conversations with the medical staff like we would say with a player. I believe that the groin injury that occurred on December 1st, that has kept him out all this time since, was in part a product of the procedure he had in the summer. And I think you reported, Rick, that it was a knee surgery. And so I think as the year went on, and the minutes piled up and the lateral plays and lateral passes and the amount that this team gives up is amongst the highest in the league piled up. There was a point there where he started, it looked like to maybe favor or hedge away from one side of that injury. And I believe that played a role in the groin injury he suffered. So healing the groin injury was one part, resetting him physically so he's not going right back out there and doing what he was that led to the groin injury in terms of where his body is at, feeling comfortable with the side that was operated on, making sure you're not there's no sort of hitch in your giddy up, for lack of a better term, that ultimately you're sort of favoring one thing and not realizing, and you're not even doing it consciously. Like your body's protecting the injury by, say, holding your skate in a slightly different way when you set up to go into a butterfly or into a push, not realizing that by trying to protect that injury, you're actually lengthening the chain in a way that's going to cause you to create other injury problems. And so I think one of the parts of this delay, I believe, is to make sure that that's all reset, that you're not just bringing him back to get hurt again, that you're bringing him back and he's feeling comfortable physically, not just with the groin injury and his recovery from that, but with the procedure he had in the summer on the knee and everything that sort of comes around that and is involved with that.
Hitching your giddy up, by the way, the first time I heard that phrase, courtesy of the late, great Pat Quinn. I thank you for that. Okay, goaltenders in the Canuck organization that are healthy right now, who do you have the most confidence in? Martin, Delia, Seeloffs?
I mean, short-term, long-term, right? Like, Colin Delia has actually played really well. I was looking at his adjusted numbers on ClearSight Analytics this morning just to sort of see, and they have come down. They were really good at the beginning through early New Year. Like, he was running like top 5, top 10 in the league. They've come down to 20th, but he's still a net positive relative to expected. Now, the thing to sort of keep in mind here is goaltending never exists in a vacuum, right? It's a function of team play. If you've ever played the game, you understand, how your team defends, time and space for opponents, quality of shots against, all matters. And when I look at the environment for the Canucks, the expected save percentage measured how tough that environment is. These three goalies, Colin Delia, Spencer Martin, and Thatcher Demko, have 3 of the 10 lowest expected save percentages in the entire National Hockey League. So this is not an easy environment for goalies. Colin Delia, to this point, is outperforming it at about 1% above expected, which is good for just looking at 21st in the league right now, which isn't bad. As the starts have piled up, and as he's lost time to continue to work on his game with Ian Clark, and there were some things they still wanted to address this season in terms of chest angle and dropping his chest as he loads for shots. I'm talking about Spencer Martin now, and how that sort of forces him to pull himself apart as he goes to the ice and makes it more difficult to move east-west. Like, as he's lost that time, his numbers, which started well, and to the point where we were talking about him maybe getting some minutes ahead of Demko, who didn't start as well, they've come down significantly. So right now, I think it's the guy who's starting tonight in New Jersey. Like, that's the fair, honest assessment for where these goaltenders are right now. Colin Delia. Archer Silovs, like, this is going to be a process. I don't think you bring him up at this point. And this is also part of the conversation around Demko. Like, if Silovs is your future guy, you need somebody to groom him. And I understand that those timelines may not match up in terms of how much time Demko has left on his contract, but you look around the league. Look what Philly did with Carter Hart. Like, even if you believe Silovs is the goaltender of the future, you need that mentor. Like, I've talked to a lot of goalie coaches around the league that really believe in the value of having someone who's been there, done that, to sort of mentor you into the league. You think of Corey Schneider and Roberto Luongo, and you're not always going to have a future Hall of Famer to do it. But you think of the role that Jacob Markstrom played with Thatcher Demko. Demko himself will tell you how important Braden Holtby was to him. So I think you have to have someone like that even if you think Silovs is your future long term. But in the short term, the answer right now is Colin Delia.
Kevin, one more. What do you have against dark goalie pads? I noticed you tweeted something out on the weekend.
I don't have anything against dark goalie pads. I wear dark goalie pads. It may explain why my numbers are so atrocious. However, there is a policy here in Vancouver. Donnie under Ian Clark, their goaltending coach. No dark edges on the goalie pad. So it's not dark pads entirely, but they don't want dark edges on both the pads along the outer roll or along the edges of the gloves. And the theory here is simple. It frames the goaltender. It gives in that split second when a shooter looks up a clear, distinct line where the coverage and equipment ends and where the net begins. The idea is that a white edge on the pads creates just that split second of visual ambiguity. And in a game when we're talking about fractions of inches and tenths of seconds mattering, they want to be on the right side of what they believe is an advantage. And so that's why, we saw the brilliant Thatcher Demko tribute set to Kirk McLean permitted because it was a once-off. I don't think you'll see that if they're, I don't think we did when they started wearing the blacks on a more regular basis. So there is a philosophy there. Not all goalies agree with it. Some people think white equipment looks bigger than dark equipment. That's not what this is about. This is all about visual ambiguity in the split second for a shooter. The one thing I'll say on dark equipment, some goalies feel like they get quicker whistles. Like puck gets lost in their equipment, the ref's going to blow it quicker because he can't see it. But for this team under this goalie coach, those are sort of the rules that exist. And a lot of people rail on it. It's not the only one in the league. There are others.
Yeah. Food for thought. No hitch in your giddy up, Kevin, especially with that shirt on. Thanks so much for this. We'll get you back soon.
Thanks, guys.